The next section. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're studying chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita. I have broken it out into different sections. The next section is verses 16 to 22, entitled Comparing the Two Natures. So now it's time for a quiz. What are the two natures? Hiran. What are the two natures? You got it. You passed your examination. That's it. Those are the two natures. Material nature, spiritual nature. Okay. Now, listen carefully to my question. Listen carefully. The soul. Does the soul belong to the material nature or the spiritual nature? Spiritual. Very good. If I had said human being, what's your answer? No. Hybrid, both. Because the human being is a combination of soul and body. So then your answer would be hybrid, both. The material body belongs to the material nature, but the soul belongs to the spiritual nature. And of course, if I had said the material body, then of course the answer would be material nature. Because remember, we're tatastha, in between. So the soul itself belongs to the spiritual energy, but once the soul is trapped up in a material body, then you're hybrid, material, and that's the whole problem. That is why we have so much difficulty. Because we're in a foreign environment. We're actually spiritual, but we find ourselves in a material engagement. And as Prabhupada says, incompatible situation. That's why you can't be happy here. We're looking for things like eternity. We're looking for knowledge. We're looking for shanti. But do you find that in the material world? Sometimes your job is good, next day you know, you're fired. Sometimes you're young and you're healthy, and then the next thing you know, the doctor says, oh, you have hypertension. There's always something going on to disturb, always. Like my classic example, I won't name any names, but I had one Indian family in my early days. They finally got their nice house in Simi Valley. And they thought, oh, now we will be happy. But what was the problem? They had a neighbor, and the dog was barking 24 hours a day. And they couldn't get shanti. They had spent all this money on a nice house, but the neighbor, night and day, they actually went to court to try to do something about the dog. That's the material world. There's no happiness, no peace. It's the nature of this material. Okay, let's get, so comparing the two natures. Again, what are the two natures? Spiritual, material. Spiritual, thank you, Naveen. Thank you. All right. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. Who's saying this? Krishna. Who created this material world? If anybody knows the nature of this world, would be the manufacturer, am I right? The manufacturer knows everything. So the manufacturer is telling you, by the way, whether you go from the top to the bottom, what is it? All are places of misery where repeated birth take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Who wants that? Who wants to come back and take birth again? Good, we're in the right group. Very good. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. So, here in the material world, we go through 4 yugas, we go through all kinds of things, and while all this is going on, Krishna is in the spiritual world, and everything is going on without disturbance. Meanwhile, here on earth, so many things are going on. But right now, Radha and Krishna are dancing. Right now. Right now, Krishna is playing with the cowherd boys. Right now, Yashoda is feeding. That's going on right now. While here on earth, we're fighting and hassling and just trying to survive. The difference between the material atmosphere and the spiritual atmosphere. When all this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. So this is the first instance where Krishna mentions his supreme abode. Later in chapter 15, Krishna will say what about his abode? Rama? No, about his abode. Before that verse. No need of sunlight, moonlight, no electric bills in Krishna's abode. Have you noticed? They're always raising the rates every year, the electric bill. They figure out some clever thing. We're going to rate this like your gasoline now, more expensive. These energy companies, they're very expert at cheating us. Yes? But in the spiritual world, no electric bill. No need of sunlight, moonlight, or electricity. That is my abode. So those are the two references where Krishna says, my abode. Madhama. Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, so that will be explained in chapter 15. There is a name for Krishna, which means the Supreme Person. What is that name? What's that? Purushottam. Everybody say. That means the topmost Supreme Person. Purusha Uttama becomes Purushottam, your original name. What's that? But it was still spiritual. That's the benefit of taking a nice Indian birth. You get a nice God-conscious name. Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. So I've mentioned there are several references in Gita. Here's one of them. How do you attain God? Unalloyed devotion. Not by karma, not by jnana, not by yoga. If you want to attain God, unalloyed devotion. This is the first reference. It will come again at the end of chapter 11, and it will come in chapter 18. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. So this, you've heard me say this trillions of times. If you want God, unalloyed devotion. You want to see God, unalloyed devotion. No other way. There's no options here. You want God, unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading. There's two ways that Krishna is all-pervading. What are the two ways? There's two things you can say to show how Krishna is all-pervading. What are they? What's that? Super soul. Who said that? Sri Vallabh. Very good. So that super soul is where? In everybody's heart. Now, what's the other way Krishna is all-pervading? Was that? No. His energies. We learned in chapter 7, we already discussed there are two natures, right? But in chapter 7, Krishna says those two natures come from him. Yes, or me, yes. So, by his energies, Krishna is also all-pervasive. I've given the example many times. Here we are in Kundan Krishna's Kumar's house. Am I right? So everything in this house is the property of Krishna Kumar and Atta. I can't come and say, okay, I think I'll take that. I think I'll take that. Do I have a right to do that, to come here and take everything out of Krishna Kumar's home? No, I don't. You would think I'm crazy, right? Because it's your property. So for a devotee, he sees everything as Krishna's property. A lusty boy sees a nice flower, he thinks, oh, I'll pick it for my Susie Q, and then she will give me a kiss when I bring her the nice flower. But the devotee thinks, oh, here's a nice flower, let me bring it to Krishna Kumar's house and put on the altar. So a devotee sees everything as Krishna's property. That's called universal vision. Nothing is mine, everything belongs to Krishna. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within him because everything is his energy. Everybody chant the Maha Mantra.